Director of Corruption Prosecution at the Integrity Commission, Keisha Prince Kamika, has ruled that Prime Minister Andrew Holness should face no charge regarding his uncertified statutory declarations. However, the Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, has raised concerns about Holness's declarations, suggesting he has fallen short of what Stevenson calls the higher duty to the public expected of someone in his esteemed role. The Commission's report, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, affirms Nationwide News' earlier reporting on the matter. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
After an exhaustive 3-year investigation that concluded just weeks ago, Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, announced that Mr. Holness has no legal case to answer concerning his statutory declarations. Previously, Nationwide News revealed that the Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, had recommended that serious consideration be given to pressing charges against the Prime Minister relating to 4 accounts linked to his father, mother, and a former constituency office manager. The total across these accounts amount to $384,000 Jamaican dollars. However, Mrs. Prince Kamika says establishing an intentional omission in Mr. Holness's statutory declarations would pose a significant challenge. This is in contrast to her colleague, Mr. Stevenson, who insists that as Prime Minister and head of the government, Holness bears a heightened responsibility to uphold Jamaica's laws and thus cannot escape scrutiny. Stevenson argues that a leader in public service must exemplify the virtues of selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. He emphasized that while he does not question Mr. Holness's commitment to these principles, several findings from his report contradict the virtues. Another concern raised was whether Mr. Holness's 2021 statutory declarations suggest he possesses assets exceeding what his lawful earnings would allow. Mr. Stevenson is concerned by an unexplained increase of over 1.9 million Jamaican dollars in Mr. Holness's net worth for the year 2022. Despite these indicators, Mr. Stevenson admits he cannot definitively conclude that the Prime Minister has unlawfully enriched himself, maintaining consistency with previous reporting by Nationwide News. The Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution also concurred that no charges would be laid against Holness on this front. However, another contentious issue has emerged surrounding the Prime Minister's investment in a bond. The Prime Minister's legal team asserts that due to a bank error, $30,000 from his Positive Jamaica Foundation was wrongly allocated to a $60,000 bond purchase. Yet, the Director of Investigations found this assertion misleading and lacking in supporting evidence. Stevenson also called into question the operations of companies linked to Mr. Holness. These are Imperium, Estate Bridge, Positive Media, and Green Merald. His suggestion is that their activity may breach Section 99 of the Income Tax Act, potentially undermining tax laws and depriving the government of a proper assessment of taxes owed for the years 2021 and 2022. Calling for an in-depth inquiry, Stevenson is urging the Financial Investigations Division to delve deeper into these matters. The call was echoed by the Integrity Commissioners, who contend that true resolution is impossible until the FID conducts its investigations. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has rejected a conclusion by the Integrity Commission that there was unexplained growth in his net worth for the year 2022. The Prime Minister made the assertion on Tuesday as he addressed the long-awaited special report from the Integrity Watchdog into his statutory declarations. Holness says the claim that there was an increase of $1.9 million, or less than 1% of his total net assets, cannot be supported as a material fact. The Prime Minister also rejects the conclusion on the basis of significance. Ricardo Brooks has the Prime Minister's response.
The Prime Minister says after an extensive investigation into his affairs, the Integrity Commission was unable to find any wrongdoing.
Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I am aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth.
That growth was $1.9 million, or less than 1% of the Prime Minister's total net assets. Holness says in coming to that conclusion, the Integrity Commission relied on incorrect data.
I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. And while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculation. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data.
Andrew Holness has other issues with the findings of the Seymour Panton-chaired commission. He has rejected the finding that he acquired an asset for which the source of funding was not explained. The Prime Minister told Parliament the entire matter started because of an incorrect statement from a bank. Holness says the matter has since been rectified. But the Prime Minister questions the Integrity Commission's conclusions. He specifically rejects allegations that he hindered the examinations of his declarations by failing to provide requested information.
Let it be known that I have complied with any obligation placed on me within the law. As far as I am aware, the company with which I am directly associated is compliant and up to date with its filing.
In his first reaction to the investigation that has dogged his administration and threatened his political career, the Prime Minister says he has remained committed to his job despite attempts to distract him. Holness launched an impassioned defense of his conduct in public office. He says he has always worked hard for all he has achieved.
I don't wear my background as a badge or try to exploit it or exploit my humble beginnings for political sympathy. I don't do it. I don't do it because I believe in working for what you have, regardless of where you come from. And Mr. Speaker, I have worked hard. People just see the achievements. They don't know the hours, the nights, the hard work.
The Prime Minister says he will continue to rely on God for strength.
Mr. Speaker, I will take legal advice on this report and its recommendations, including recommendations for referral to other entities. And Mr. Speaker, I will continue to pray to God for guidance and strength as I continue to lead Jamaica.
Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says the context in which the Integrity Commission Act is operating has weakened its credibility.
While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work.
The Prime Minister says the way the entire matter related to his statutory declarations has been dealt with raises serious concerns.
The weaponization of accusations of corruption is nothing new in politics. However, even the most skeptical onlooker must conclude that the handling of this matter, time it has taken, public resources used to pursue it, raise cause for concern on many levels.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he was addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday afternoon.
Still in the House of Representatives, the opposition leader Mark Golding was deterred from commenting on Mr. Holness's personal statement this afternoon. Mr. Golding was interrupted after the House Speaker reminded him that the Parliament's standing orders do not allow for members to debate a personal statement.
The Prime Minister has given a personal statement in accordance with the permission which you granted. Is it your understanding that anything can be said today in response thereto? Is that your understanding of the rule? I'm asking for your ruling on the matter.
That is my understanding of Section 18 of the Standing Order.
Very well. More or none. This report, the substantial report, has just been tabled.
You cannot debate.
The public will have an opportunity to review it and discuss it.
Member, you cannot debate.
Heroy Clark, the Deputy House Speaker there, and before him the opposition leader Mark Golding. Parliament was adjourned shortly after.